Good morning, Randall.
Oh, good morning, David. Who's your daddy?
Yeah, wow. Remember that in the 1968 song by the Zombies? What's your
I
name? Who's
don't.
your daddy?
That's great. That's great. Well, and the reason I'm bringing that up, we're talking about a sacred reframe today of who or what is fathering your consciousness. And you did a message called Who's Your Daddy? And in the new course you're laying out, you have 9 sacred reframes for people to consider. And one of them is the image of God.
Yes. You know, the word image is an interesting word. Says we're created in his image and likeness. Sometimes I want to say we were miscreated in his image, not created, miscreated. And why I say that is if you think of the word image in the Hebrew that it was translated from is a word for phantom.
Hmm.
It's illusion. Actually, it
Okay.
says that in the Hebrew. Now, that's the way I explain this is when I look into a mirror at myself, I'm only seeing an image of myself. That is not
Yes.
me, it is just an image.
Okay.
So, this idea of an image is almost a psychological term that means setting up certain ideas and thoughts in our mind about something without actually having the experience with that something. There's
Yes.
a place in the Bible that says we only know in part, but when we behold that which is perfect face to face, that's
Yeah.
difference. Like right
Yes.
now, I'm seeing you on this computer is
Yes.
an image. I'm not seeing you personally. I'm seeing an image of you.
That's
And
right.
that is completely different than when we're together and we're in each other's presence face to face. We're actually out of the simulation of the illusion into the reality. So this
Well,
is what we're trying to do in this reframe.
oh, that's a wonderful wonderful thing to talk about, this whole image idea, because I grew up with this distant God, this masculine guy that I had to please all the time. That regardless of what I did, I never felt like it was good enough, and he was never happy with me.
No, no. And really, it was an image of what was going on within the consciousness of humanity itself, projected as an image. There's a
Yes.
place in the book of Psalms that I really think is so powerful. It's in 115, and it says, they made images, and these images didn't have had eyes but couldn't see. They had ears that couldn't hear, a throat that couldn't speak, and so on and so forth. So that means we set up this image in our mind of something. It doesn't mean it's the something, but it's
You're
an
right.
image or a distortion. You know, I have several mirrors in my house, and I run around sometimes trying to find the one mirror that I look the best in because there's certain mirrors in my house I don't look so good at. I don't like the image. So I'm trying to get the image right, but it never is me. I'm always short of the glory.
Mirror, mirror on the
The
wall.
wall. Who's the fairest? Yes, exactly. So, but it goes on and says that even though we set up this image of God, and think about the image that uh, Muslims have of God, Jewish
Yes.
people have of God,
Right.
Christians have of God. All the different religions of the world and philosophies have their own image of God because they're looking into a mirror. But what we're trying to do in these reframes is get people to a Gnostic experience of beholding what God is, not what God may look like, based upon our perception of a consciousness that has been kind of influenced and shaped from outside of ourselves.
Yes. And so that's, you're talking about the sacred reframe then of the loving source within and beyond us.
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is so important for us. Now, this whole idea of your daddy thing comes from the fact that a couple of places, about 3 places in the Old Testament, Yahweh, the Old Testament God, was referred to
Yeah.
Father. But if you think about this term Father for Yahweh, it's like the Father who is the controller of the house. He's abusive. He does not want to listen to the feminine, his wife, or the feminine side. He's all masculine, all controlling. And then Yeshua, Jesus, comes along and reframes that father idea into something that is an intimate and whatever. I
Yeah.
love it when my daughter, for instance, my daughter hardly ever calls me father. I'm dad.
Right.
I'm
Right.
dad. I find that a more intimate uh, name to call me that makes me feel closer than just father. So that's why this word actually in the Aramaic is Abba, which means dad or daddy.
Yeah.
So it's a play on words, yes, because of that 68 song, but it's just really saying who's originating or fathering your thoughts, your spirit or your carnal mind. And that's what this reframe is going to do. We're going to dig in deep and find out how can we know the difference between a carnal thought and a spiritual thought.
And the idea of Jesus coming along and reframing everything, and the word wasn't really Jesus, it was Yeshua. Is that correct?
That is his name in his language of Hebrew. He would have never known Jesus. Jesus was a translation from Greek. And when we translated it from the Greek into the English, that kind of made up
Okay.
this word Jesus. So he's also called Isa
Yeah.
when he was in that 18 years that was missing in India. So he's called many names, but his real name is love. His real name is truth. His real name is I am. And that's
Okay.
the main thing we got to get to because name means nature.
Yeah. So it's almost like Jesus is a nickname, actually,
It's a
in a
Western
sense.
Christian terminology. Yeah.
All right. And so where the sacred reframe number two is taking us is how to see it differently, to question our inherited images, notice our base fear theology, and trust the presence that you experience.
Yeah, and what are some steps that we're going to share for people to be able to know how to do that?
Okay.
There's some steps that we can do to disconnect from the imagery of the mind into a part of the mind that's receptive to receive actual experience of beholding something at its face value. That's what it means, beholding face to face.
Oh, I see. Face to face meaning, say that again. Face to
Yeah,
face means,
yeah. When I'm with you, we're together in the same
yeah,
room. I am
yes,
facing you at face value, me and you as two realities. But when I'm viewing you as I am right now, I'm viewing you as an image of Randall and not
yeah.
actually in the presence of Randall itself. So that's why finding the presence within is so important because it's in that presence that we really find things as they are. Deep calleth unto deep. I like that term. Deep calleth unto
Yeah.
deep, or in physics, like attracts like.
So you're taking us then into how to actually live differently and how to practice, really a practice of discernment is what you bring up, how to pause, notice, ask, and examine. Tell us more
Exactly.
about that.
Exactly. Well, I've been very big in my teachings for many years, the importance of as you gather new information, knowledge, you're reading a book, you're listening to a speaker, whatever you're doing, and some idea shows up and you go, wow, that's really interesting to me. And I teach don't immediately qualify it as your belief, but to wait and hold it in a neutral
Right.
place and see if it resonates your own innate intelligence. Because everything you need to know consciously, you already know spiritually.
Right. And so ultimately we end up at shifting and changing our perspective, our viewpoint based on the teachings and the history that you've researched and bringing us into a new mindset, which changes our relationship with sources as we know it.
Right, right, exactly. So this is something that people can really go deeper. They can grow from it. They can expand their experience, not just their knowledge intellectually, but they can experience a real experience between the self that they are and the source, which are the same thing individualized, and
Yes.
spirit beholding spirit. truth beholding truth, light in the light type of idea.
Well, thank you so much for your time today as we have been talking about the Sacred Reframe number 2, and we'll be going into the other reframes every Wednesday here at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's being put out there on YouTube and other places. And I'd like to recommend people go to davidhulse.com, davidhulse.com, and pick up a free sampling of the membership and some samples of these teachings. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Randall.